Welcome, everyone. This is the Ins Justify the Memes special after school edition. And we are joined today with my featured guest, Yizz the Eunuch, who knows about all the troubles I'm about to expound upon.
I surely do.
Yes. So I am here today, guys, on the Ins Justify the Memes because All Minus One got another strike. And the strike is, it's not known why, basically. It's just nonsense. I have no idea what I may have said, what is going on.
And we probably never will know.
Right. So I appealed. If you guys didn't know, well, I have it up here. I'll bring it up. Here's what I got at 5 a.m. in the morning. Our team has received your content, and unfortunately, we think it violates our community guidelines. We think. They don't know. We've removed the following content. And I know a lot of you watched it yesterday, so you can tell me what you think. We know that it might be disappointing, yada, yada, yada. None of this tells me what happened.
Yep.
And then, of course, now I have a second strike. If I go over to my dashboard, of course, you can see all of that good, fun stuff. The strike I got, though, right before, back in August, I was struck 4 days before that, and I appealed it, and I won the appeal, and then they struck it again.
Well,
So
it's like we see with all the authoritarian technocratic structures is vote again, bigot. Well, appeal again, bigot. And this is going to keep happening to us over and over again. I think it's a miracle that they even let us on YouTube at all anymore.
yeah, absolutely. So I was talking to Yizz right before the show here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my stream from yesterday to Rumble, because I still do have my Rumble account, even though I haven't been uploading there.
I haven't been uploading to Rumble either. I uploaded my favorite deep double analysis there about the Biden plan and the NWO, but I haven't uploaded anything else there yet.
Yeah, well, I would stream on Rumble, but I don't know if it's accessible. I don't think it is to me. And I will probably start streaming on Entropy directly here soon enough. But yeah, it's really interesting. And then, of course, I tweeted this out. If you guys follow me on Twitter, share this around, maybe YouTube, I don't know, or at YouTube or whatever. Maybe they'll do something about it. Maybe it was some algorithmic weird thing. Maybe someone over there doesn't like me, because this is the second time I've had a strike at 5 in the morning, like 12 hours after I've streamed. So I don't understand that. But this was the, I don't have this up anymore because I've already appealed. It won't come up. But basically what it says, before you appeal, please review your content to ensure that it abides by community guidelines. In particular, this section shown below provides supporting details in the box. There's nothing there. It says community guidelines.
Yep, that's how every one of my strikes has been too.
What did I violate? And what did I say yesterday that I don't almost always say? And what did I say that basically any bigger YouTuber, like I watch Tim Pool on a regular basis, I watch Dan Bongino on a regular basis,
and I don't think you say anything that they don't.
No, I don't. Not really. I mean, I kind of come at a slightly different perspective, but right.
It might be because you're openly Christian, and people who have Christian values are heavily persecuted on Twitter and Facebook. So it might be the case on YouTube now too.
Right.
Like the YouTube algorithm might look for speech patterns and words on channels that for some reason tells the algorithm that you're a Christian, so you have to go.
That's probably right.
I mean, guys, that's really the only difference between the kind of stuff you talk about and other larger creators talk about. That's really the only difference I can see.
I honestly, I believe, other than the polarized world, I think I believe I'm a rather moderate person, actually.
You're a lot more moderate than me.
Right. I'm highly liberty motivated. So... And that's the thing. And I know you are a little bit more spicy. This channel's more spicy. This channel.
Oh, I don't mean spicy memes. I mean, my legitimate ideals and the things I talk about seriously are a lot more extreme than yours.
Right. I know I would agree, yes. And regardless, we can still be friends and agree to disagree or whatever. But I'm saying this channel right here, the Ins Justify the Memes, is the spicy channel, really.
Yeah.
And we don't have any strikes.
Yeah.
Because it's all satire and fun. And yesterday it was being satirical a good bit. So I don't understand it. But in any case, guys, I did just put two links in the description. I just had up here on stream, 2 backup channels that I made. I haven't done anything else with. I'll pull them back up here real quick. if this one goes down, I'll just start streaming elsewhere. So this one has the current logo I have, and that's All Humanity -1, and then All Mankind -1, which has my old logo I was using.
I don't have a backup channel yet. I probably should, but
yeah. So it's something you guys can go over there. The reason why I link them in the YouTube description, I'll do that over on Entropy real quick and DLive if it'll take them, is because you won't be able to search for them because there's no content. They'll just bury it. But yeah, it's like I said, Yizz, I feel like rather moderate opinions, no, they're libertarian opinions. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think your opinions are moderate. I think you should be more convicted than that. You're not. Well, you don't take a moderate stance. You take a convicted Christian libertarian stance. That's
when I say moderate, though, I'm talking about not in the spectrum of the whatever the mainstream argument is out there. I'm saying when I talk to most people, if you leave politics out of it and you say, "Oh yeah, I believe in liberty and people should be able to do whatever they want," you should be able to, let's take an issue that wouldn't be a Christian stance per se, typically, is I think that you have a right to your own body. Therefore, if you want to go do drugs, go do drugs. It shouldn't be illegal. Right? So I have those kind of beliefs that you are a grown adult and you should take care of yourself. I think that's generally a sentiment most Americans share, unless they're on an extreme end of the political spectrum. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean by moderate. Now, there are some things I think I do definitely take harder stances on. Don't get me wrong. But
I think that if you're going to, by that definition of moderate, pretty much everyone that we talk to in all of our connected circles is moderate then, because I don't talk to anybody, even the hardcore white nationalist European superstate guys. Like, I can't even name a single one of them that thinks that it's even possible to get rid of all drugs and porn and everything and force everybody to conform. I don't even know any of those guys that think that's possible. So
right. But again, that's what I'm saying. Like, the terms that we use, we're in a position in life, the Orwellian world, where we have to constantly define our terminology because the terminology is constantly being redefined.
Yeah.
So, and the way it's being redefined and the way the Overton window is being shifted in the political conversation, I think I'm talking about it in a more colloquial, personal sense, versus if you look at the mainstream media, what the federal government pushes out. I mean, look, all Trump supporters are far right-wing extremists, according to the federal government. So, again, it's a matter of perspective, I would say. I'm coming from a position, I think, of a normal, average person, and I am a little bit more extreme than them because I do believe in radical liberty. There's a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people who do believe there's necessary restrictions.
Well, that's the thing, though. With the level of 1984 style control over language and communication, anybody who believes anything within the neighborhood of everything from ethno-nationalism to Christian libertarianism, everything in that entire wide cluster of ideas now is technically Fed posting. So anyone who espouses any of this stuff is going to be put on a list and treated like a criminal or a mentally unwell patient now. And I think that's one of the big drives of this COVID lockdown stuff, is I think that they are setting the stage for calling us all unwell or risks to public health to gulag us all. And I know that's funny, you laugh, but I think
I'm laughing at anti-commies comments, actually. Sorry.
No, I think that this is presaging all of us dissidents or quote unquote terrorists or white supremacists or whatever. I think they're going to classify that as a public health risk in the near future, and they're going to try to gulag us all.
Well, they've already said that, and that's the one thing that may have caught me, because I was making a joke yesterday about getting rid of Whitey, as I put it, and I made a comment in I think it was in the Weekly Narrative stream. I don't know. I was jumping between them and Sniper stream the other night, and I put a comment in there, and it was immediately yeeted. Now, either didn't go through, but I thought it went through, or YouTube took it down. And that's the other thing. You don't even know. Like, you could have your streams taken down or whatever content you put up because of comments.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had that happen to me yet, but
I haven't had that happen to me yet. They just yeet the comment.
Right. But that used to be a thing where it's like the creator has nothing to do with people commenting. I don't sit there and probe your brain and control you like some sort of what's that insect that does that? Like takes over the minds of animals.
I think what we're going to see in the near future is a shift towards total control. That's why you have several countries and some people in America saying that there needs to be no anonymous communication ever. They don't want there to be anonymous communication because the establishment hates that. They want to know exactly who is saying those nagging little things about freedom and liberty that they can squash. So that's why I think that we are very soon, unless we head this off at the pass and something great happens, which I doubt, I think that very, very soon it's only going to be alt tech and illegal media communication that will give us anonymous voices. Because when you look at how the encroachment of mobile devices, the encroachment of IP and everything, like governments around the world, they're working on ways to defeat or disallow VPNs. They don't want anybody to have anonymity ever at all. And I think that very soon we're going to see an authoritarian push to even destroy the ability to communicate interpersonally anonymously, let alone in a public forum.
Yeah, I always bring up the thing when I first started, with the idea of writing this book I'm writing is the notion that we were going to be in such a state that we're going to have to start using carrier pigeons.
Yeah.
Hey,
me and my husband having a ham radio don't sound so crazy now, does it?
No. The problem with that, though, of course, is that you have to have a federal license, and they know who has one.
They say you have to.
Yeah, exactly, right. But it's interesting too, though, with the statements made by Biden yesterday about trying to enforce some sort of fascistic control of companies. Via the government, via executive order, because there is no congressional order that's going to happen with this. There's no way it'll go through both Congress and the Senate.
Well, the mask is completely off. I don't think that any type of political process or standing court-found standing is ever going to matter again. I think that we are fully entering into the era of decree and emotion becomes law as it needs to be shaped for the power structure to have what it wants. I think that we are fully there, and the mask is off and gone.
Right. That has been occurring slowly over time. People don't pay attention to it. And then what they do is they look at someone like Trump and they go, oh, Trump and his executive orders. But they don't care when Biden does it. They didn't care when Obama did it, Yep. So it's always just the power game, right? But no, I mean, my point with that, though, is that is going to push states. Now, I know Kristi Noem was talking about how she'll see him in court, but why? Who cares? And you and Josh on your stream were just talking about they don't have the numbers really to enforce this, which is something I've been saying for a long time. And the reason why these things get enforced upon people in the first place is because the states generally enforce them because they want federal funds.
Yeah.
But we're getting to a place where a lot of states are going,
is it
I don't know about that?
Yeah. And here's another thing about localism. The reason why we want to build localism is because people will fight and die for the things that really matter to them. And if we're all disenfranchised, fractured individuals with no care in the world or investment in anything, we're easily controlled cattle. And if you invest yourself outside of yourself into children, family, church, land, farming, co-ops, or even community schooling, like having a bunch of women and retired professors and clergymen and shit like that, wanting to get together to make local community schooling, when you start building lots of little Rhodesias and little Wacos everywhere, it's hard for the feds to stamp that out if you've got thousands of those communities all over the place. Like one Waco and one little Rhodesia, the government can do something about. But not if thousands of them start happening all across the world. It would be a lot harder for them to violently work against us if we're literally everywhere building little protectorate mini states, which is what I think we should do as Americans anyway. Like that's the spirit of this country. That's the spirit that my ancestors wanted for me here, is to have the right to my own fate, my own destiny, and for me and people like me to have sovereignty. And I think that's been crapped on for 150 years, probably longer here.
Right. No, 100%, at least 100 years. It's the Civil War definitely made a big difference in how the United States was going.
You mean the Secession War?
Yes, the War of Northern Aggression.
Well, you don't have to call it that. That's kind of comical. It
It was though.
it was the
really was.
secession war between the Union and the Confederacy.
Right, but I'm saying the old school Southern take on it. It was a war of Northern. The
It
South didn't
was.
go up into the North. They were like, just leave us alone.
Mhm.
You know, the North came into the South, and
I think no matter how nice that you want to talk about that conflict, you can't honestly talk about that conflict without saying the Union was the aggressor.
right, right. And you might say, well, it was just. I don't look. I don't believe that immoral things like using violence. And don't get me wrong, guys. I understand violence is also a tool. And there are many perspectives on this, but from a Christian perspective, a early Christian perspective, you're not supposed to be violent. And I don't believe that
crusades are just, Bill.
Right. I don't believe that using violence to stamp out some other immorality like slavery is appropriate. And I believe that it would have went away like it did in most of the rest of the world due to economics primarily. So it wasn't justified. This was about teaching the South a lesson in obedience. And we know that because when Lincoln was off, what was the fort? I'm not the best on Civil War history, but when they first came off the fort down in was it South Carolina?
Is it Sumter? Because Fort Sumter is
and they had ships there, and they fired warning shots at them. That really ticked off Lincoln, and that's when things really escalated. Mm-hmm. I'm skeptical about the level of physical kinetic conflict here in the United States. There's going to be skirmishes for sure. I feel like that this is going to really start big time though in the States with these issues like the vax mandates, with the with the whole idea of the Great Reset coming, these lockdowns, and we're already seeing a little bit of division in this. We're seeing a lot of people talk about secession. I mean, I know a lot of people viewers don't like Tim Pool, but he actually had a really good segment last night with his on his live show. The people we had on there were talking about this and the escalation from the federal funds being taken away, states having to print their own money, all this other stuff that might potentially go on. We're on that road regardless. It has to happen. Balkanization necessarily has to happen, at least if we're going to remain in some sort of peaceful, just state. So I don't know.
Peace is a lie, Bill.
Yeah. Well, perhaps. No. Elaborate on that.
Peace in every way that you can use it in the modern era, except talking about peace between two people or something. Peace on a state or large-scale social level is a lie, and it always has been. Like, we have to exist in a state of conflict against evil and tyranny, or we will lose everything. Like, there is never going to be peace with when there are so many devils in the world, whether you're talking about the anti-white thing I go on about all the time, whether you're talking about the technocratic NWO, whether you're talking about, Judaism or Islam that wants to enslave others. Like, there's always going to be enemies that we have to actively fight against. This concept of there being peace between every faction on the planet is a lie, and it needs to be put to bed. We have to fight for our own and protect our land and get rid of the people that don't belong here, or we're not going to have anything, let alone peace.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't fully disagree with that because I do believe in Dunbar's number. I don't think that you have to fight. I see what was it, Violence and Life put over in the entropy. Pacifism is immoral. I disagree with you. Pacifism does a lot. Christianity took over Rome through pacifism, and Rome fell when it became violent again. You had Christians coming in from the north, and basically they didn't kill any other Christians.
I would argue in favor of her. I would argue that pacifism doesn't mean just not using kinetics. The subversively taking over and fighting without blades and bullets is not pacifism.
Well, I mean simply specific. When I say violence, as someone who basically had a profession of violence for 18 years of my life, I'm thinking of physically taking charge and control of somebody, forcing them to do my will. Pacifism does not do that. What it does is it says, I'm going to stand here. You can beat me. You can do whatever it is, but I'm going to keep standing my ground, and I'm going to keep speaking. I'm going to keep doing my thing. And as I often, refer to, Justin Martyr, 2nd century Christian apologist, essentially said the only violence that we're allowed to do is through our words. And we've seen movements of peaceful protest more or less, not like, peaceful protests last year, but
So
actual peaceful
do you
protests
not think that
take
crusading
over.
is a Christian thing then?
What's that?
Do you not think that crusading is a Christian thing?
No, I think that's a corruption of Christianity that came later on. But then we start getting into genetic fallacies. So I just would say that's a different
Okay.
uh, perspective of Christianity that
Okay.
had changed. A lot of
Well,
that, like
sadly,
say,
that's the part that I like because I want me a crusade.
but none of that came out until about the 5th century. Christians didn't participate in war or anything until.
Okay.
So you're talking about 400 years of Christianity where everyone was a pacifist, and it literally did change Rome. I mean, people, they couldn't understand it because Rome was a power like we're looking at today that crushed anybody that stood in their way.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So Augustine started writing about using Christian warfare to some degree, and that kind of stuck. And he was saying, basically, as long as you don't hate the person in your heart, it's okay. But if you look at Christ's words and the perspective of the early church and what they wrote about, they were all pacifists. But again, I'm not talking about look, guys, you can fight in other ways. I'm just talking about doing direct physical violence. And don't get me wrong, I also believe in self-defense. I think for me, self-defense is not ideal, but I promise you, if someone comes after my wife or my daughters, there's a trigger in me that's going to go off. And,
for sure.
And then that's something I'm going to have to reconcile.
I don't want you and your viewers to think I have bloody thoughts and I hate people. When I say we need a crusade, what I mean is on our own soil for our own sovereignty. I'm not talking about, like, I hate the forever wars. I don't want to go overseas and start playing kickball in the Middle East and doing all this nation building bullshit. That's not what I mean when I say a crusade. I mean to purge the evil devils that are mixed in with us, that are parasites to our people, our civilization, our values. That's what we need to crusade against.
Yeah, well, it's this thing. I think we are all trying to do that right now, and we are trying to do this peacefully, and we don't want it to devolve into that kinetic warfare. And at the same time, every step of the way, any sort of leftist institution like YouTube is trying to make that happen. Yeah. And if they weren't trying to make that happen, then they would let us talk. And this goes back to like what Jordan Peterson was talking about some years ago. He said, if we can't have the conversation, the only alternative is outright war.
Yep. Like one of my first videos was called the Blade and the Bullet. I think I built the stream around the concept that for every word taken off the table, a weapon is armed under the table. And I believe that is what this regime that wants to take total control over not just our civilization, but the world, they want to deprive every means of resisting them that isn't kinetic, because then they can point to us that dissent and the only voice we have left and say, oh, look what terrorists, and then gulag us or kill us. And that's why I think that speech and words and ideas are the forefront of this fourth generational warfare. And that's why I encourage doing that over any type of militia organization or lone wolf terrorism or anything like that. I think all of those things are a net negative, and that plays into the hands of those who are seeking to try to gain power over us.
Right. Well, my question always is why is your more moral authoritarian belief better than their moral authoritarian belief?
It isn't.
Right. And that has to come in the conflict. So right. I don't want moral authoritarianism. I want people to be their own moral guide. I want them to either be connected with God or whatever belief system they have. I want it to be communal. And like I say, Dunbar's number is a real thing. Our biggest issue is the scaling. And when you scale up so large like we are, there's no accountability for the authorities.
Yep.
And
that's why I think that the solution is sovereignty over what you can control, and then the best you can do for peaceful cooperation between those groups. I think that is where the sweet spot of civilization will lie, not with massive super governments or whatever.
Yeah, and right here, Shelley says that the MSNs are craving for violence, and it's absolutely, and that's why they also hide the people that have been doing the majority of the real violence.
Yep.
The Black Lives Matter, the Antifa, all those groups, and people, a large portion of the population at least, are brainwashed into believing that, oh, well, they're not really harmful. It's only a few bad apples. No, you go look at what they say. They want to gulag you.
Yep.
They want to murder you because you believe in actual liberty. They think you're a fascist because
Mhm.
they're utterly retarded. They think
Yeah.
you're a fascist because you want people to be free.
And
I mean,
also it's worth pointing out here that objective morality is a lie. When you talk about ideologies, I talk about Christianity a lot now. If you're talking about any type of ideological belief system under the sun, they are all subjective, and that is why I believe in ethnic sovereignty and solidarity with those who you agree with. That is the best that we can hope for, because and that's also why I reject the big state, not the ethno-nationalists, but the big brain, like modern day Nat Sox and Nazbol types, is they want to unify all European peoples under one banner. And I'm like, no, idiot. That's just a different brand of the shit that we're trying to fight right now. Like that's not that some type of mass white racial unity under one banner. That's not going to happen any more than it's going to happen under some Soviet banner. Like that's not going to happen. Like you have to use such ugly, unnatural levels of forced control to have anything like that. It can't work. And when you try to make it work, you stack bodies a mile high and destroy everything, as we've seen every time that's tried to be implemented. So when we talk about morality and judgment, that's why I'm an ethno-nationalist, because I think every group of people should have a homeland and should ally with those who are like them in belief and genetics and all that other stuff, and build a little society around that. And if that grows, fine. But when you try to force that idea upon others, like with the American war machine with nation building and all of that, why does that always fail? Why do you think the people that want global conflict push nation building? Because they know it doesn't work. They know it's going to create hatred around the world and conflict, and create terrorists that hate the Israel-American war machine and perpetuate the forever wars and make the people at the top rich. Like,
yeah, I honestly, I don't think that resources is the primary reason why we do things in the Middle East. It's always about instability. It's always about a reason to be over there. We continue to create instability. We must be there. Frezio, you're sort of interesting. Christians don't believe in violence when the Old Testament is full of violence. Absolutely. But there's a old covenant and a new covenant. Go read Matthew chapter 5, the Sermon on the Mount. That is Christ bringing down the law on the mountain as Moses, right? It's a reflection of the same thing. And one of the first things he says is, blessed are the peacemakers. And he says, you have to be more righteous than the prophets of the past and the scribes and the Pharisees. And you read through chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7 of the Sermon on the Mount, and at no point he calls for violence. What he calls for is pacifism. And people will take that. I've seen many modern Christians go, when Christ said, be slapped on one side of the cheek, he didn't mean just, take it. No, that is what he meant. Go read about Paul's adventures in 2 Corinthians, where he talks about all the things that have happened to him. At no point, no one in the early church was violent. They willfully went to their deaths. And Martin Luther King took this example, whether you like him or not. He made a huge movement in the United States, and Gandhi as well. And Dr. King got that from, or vice versa, was it? I forget which one. But Gandhi and Martin Luther King both based those off of early Christianity. Essentially, when you do violence, what happens is the group in power says that you are a terrorist group and they must destroy you, and they're going to defame you, and they're going to do everything that they do now, but it's going to be 20 times worse, which is also why, personally, I don't suggest going out to protest and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There are better ways to organize and get things done than being out in the streets.
I stopped pushing that too. The only reason I pushed that so hard last year and through the election cycle was I thought there might be a chance that Trump maybe would lead us across the Rubicon, and I wanted to be ready to roll with full-scale nationalism. But of course, that didn't happen. It was a Hail Mary pass, thinking that even could happen anyway. But I wanted to be ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I understand why people want to go protest in the street, and I got it. But ever since I started doing this stuff a year ago, I was like, I'm not into this. I don't think it's a good idea. I didn't elaborate on it too much, but I've done it in the past, in my 20s, and I also watched as a movement that I was a part of, Campaign for Liberty, which was the roots of the Tea Party. That turned into some big corporate thing because it just got infiltrated. And I watched the mainstream media call everyone teabaggers, knowing it was derogatory, but knowing that boomers had no idea what that meant.
Yep.
And, they just turned that around, much like they do now with Larry Elder running for governor, right? He's the black face of white supremacy. Woman in a gorilla mask throws an egg at him. No headlines from the left saying, racist woman in gorilla mask attacks black, gubernatorial candidate. No,
Well,
not at all.
the woman in the mask throwing the egg was black too.
Oh, was she? I thought she was a white woman.
Oh, she could have just been really dark because she's Californian, but I'm pretty sure she was a black lady or a really dark Hispanic, but she looked African to me.
Well, now I got to look that up.
I'm just going by the video clip I saw. She was wearing a tank
I
top.
saw,
you can see her arms and her upper chest. So
okay, I'd have to relook at it, but I thought she was a white woman. But still, I mean, whatever.
It doesn't really matter. The narrative is still funny. Like
right. But the narrative is only if you have certain politics, you're a racist, which is absurd too, given that the history of the Democrats. Of course,
I think it's absurd given the history of the term racism and racist and what they mean and how they've always been tools of creating social dissent and turning groups against each other that shouldn't be fighting each other. Like that's how it started 120 years ago.
Right.
It was a Bolshevist destabilization tactic.
Right. And
it wasn't Trotsky himself. He was the one that pushed it. It was someone in his camp. I don't remember the name of the man that actually wrote it, but it was one of the unnamables in Trotsky's camp that pushed that idea. And I think they used it first against Slavs. I think is where they first introduced it.
Probably, yeah, because that would have been the majority population, and they that was the thing, that communism did these things. They worked it out in their own nation how to subvert, and then they started on the United States with their active measures, and that's what we've been seeing. And it's not just that the Russians did this, as the Yuri fans might believe, but our own people did this. We subverted ourselves. I know you posted a thing on Twitter earlier about that, didn't you, Yizz?
Probably. I either posted it or shared it, but I circulate a lot of stuff on like 20 different accounts and channels.
Yeah, and I'm not really on Twitter a lot, but I was a little bit today. So, here, let's see. I want to see this comment. Nielsen Thomas says, in the Orthodox Church, war, especially defensive wars, are blessed. Defending your brother, family, and homeland is blessed. These war saints are martyrs or saints. Yeah, man, I understand all that. Same with Catholic Church, but you show me where that's at for the first 300 years, 400 years of Christianity. It doesn't exist. It's something that changed within the church later. It's not the same thing.
It changed with power. They didn't have the power and the ability to be very militant under the heel of the Romans.
No, but it goes against the whole narrative of Christianity too, because see, Peter thought that Christ was, like all the Jews did, thought Christ was going to be here at the time, to lead this revolt that was a physical war and revolt against the Romans. And most scholars, there's like really no argument about this. Most scholars believe this and understand this. Peter was always about fighting in the war. He was kind of a hothead, it seemed like, and he had to learn otherwise. And this is part of the story of him going into the Garden of Gethsemane. Christ even told him, go buy swords. And he did. And then once he cut off the guard's ear, he said, no, Peter, this isn't the way. Those who live by the sword die by the sword. And he had to do that to break Peter, I would say. And of course, later on, Peter denied him and other things. That's part of Christianity too, is that we're all flawed. We all make mistakes. We all fall. But it's the constant striving to be better in perfection. There, to my mind, is a lot of Greek and Roman philosophy. Normally today I would have been talking about Stoicism and Christianity, but I keep missing Friday streams because of things like this. But that's what happened, is the church got more into the worldly philosophies than what Christ was teaching originally. And again, some of these concepts come across from Judaism, which we lost because the church separated itself from Judaism, except for the first 15, 20 years of Christianity. Almost every person in the church was a Jew. So So we've separated because of certain reasons from Judaism. A lot of that, again, is Romanism. There is a historical timeline you can look through. Now, if you're just listening to your priest and your Orthodox church, or your whatever have been written by all these people 400, 500, 600 years, 1,000 years later, you're not going to get this narrative. If you go back, you start reading from the earliest church writers all the way through, you'll see where it changed. And don't get me wrong, this is me. I've been studying this stuff for, 5-6 years now. So this is a lot of study on my end to have figured this out.
That's one of the reasons I'm okay with Protestant Christianity and in some ways Orthodox and Catholicism too, is because even though it's Semitic in origin, I do think that the Christianity we've had for hundreds of years is very much a European product of spirituality and morality that I don't think that we should eschew, because look, it took us pretty far and we have a lot of good ideas based on it. I just think that, like many things, they've been subverted and things have changed with the technological and population numbers have grown with governments and militaries and things. I think that instead of looking to the past, we need to look to the present and the near future to see where we should go and how we should sculpt spirituality and religion for what works best for us in this situation and what will give our children a better future. I think that's the lens that we should have on all organizations and ideas, including Christian ones. I think that it's an important thing that we need to add to the mix.
Well, I think the biggest thing is what we see today is the abundance of technology, the ability to connect. Like you're in Tennessee, I'm in West Virginia, right? And we're sitting here talking. We became friends because I reached out to you to have you on my show, and it's easy to connect with people. It's easy to organize and make these movements. There's no reason why we couldn't organize, like people have in New Hampshire and the Free State Project, little groups of communities. But the technocracy does not want that to happen because they need everybody to be in line. And frankly, it's absurd. It's absurd to think that 350 million, and I know the United States official estimate of citizenry is about 330 or so, but I say 350 because of all the illegals. But yeah, we have at least that 350 million people here. It's absurd to think that we're all going to be in line. I don't know anybody, including my wife, that I agree with 100%.
Yep.
So
very few.
Yeah. Let me see. I keep trying to check on chat. Hey guys, if you are on YouTube, you don't know there's an entropy over there. You can talk freely. You can say whatever you want. You can also donate if you would wish to do so. I know Violence is Life gave me some diamonds over on D Live. There's also D Live as well. If you guys do not like the Google machine, if you do not like YouTube and Alphabet and Google and all that, you don't want to support them, then you can go over to D Live or Entropy and still participate in the stream. So I don't know, Yizz. I had plans today. I could have done that. I was like, invite Yizz on. She's gotten struck down a lot.
Yeah, I sure have.
You don't even stream your Monday show on YouTube anymore.
Nope.
No.
Well, it's because it kept getting struck. It kept getting flagged, or even it's got directly struck twice, and it kept getting flagged before that. So one of them they just took down without even saying anything. It was just gone. That's why I don't have one of the episodes. I don't even have in the catalog anymore because I thought that it was up and it got struck, and I was like, or it got removed, and I was like, "Where's my video?" And it's just gone. So,
yeah, they're ridiculous. Let me get my Rumble channel up. So I can put it in the link because I spent
a couple $100 to get a big external hard drive. So now I back up everything just so I don't lose it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing that, but I have a lot of space on my computer.
Well, I do too, but my torrents take a lot of space.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I'm building a massive library of information and entertainment for the future when there is no more internet. Or at least for us.
All right, let me pull this up. I'll put the link in the description here in a second. Yeah, I haven't posted the Rumble since April 20th, and that I think was the last. Maybe that wasn't. The first warning I got that stuck, because I appealed a bunch of stuff over time. I've probably been struck 5, 6, 7 times. I don't even remember how many times now. I'd have to go through my emails. But I was winning a lot. I was winning bigly, as Trump would say. and then
we were winning bigly.
Yeah, bigly. And then all of a sudden, the last few. Now I won that one last time, and then 4 days later, they just struck it again. It was like, well, you guys just approved this. Is there no consistency? And the only thing I could consider that might have happened was Rand Paul got struck that weekend, and they changed their TOS all of a sudden.
Well, that's the thing that we were talking about earlier with vote again, bigot. Like it's not going to matter. Like you'll say, wait, my content yesterday was in line with the TOS, and they will say, no, the TOS is eternal. You're in violation now. Like that's where we're at with this.
Yes, and what I mean, what are we supposed to do? How do you get by? And like I said, Yiz, like I watch so many streamers, like bigger streamers. I watch smaller streamers like yourself, you know,
Mhm.
Don, whatever, the weekly narrative. But I watch so many different people and see what they have to say. And I see these bigger YouTubers get away with things all the time. And not like they're trying to get away with anything, but why am I and my little 250 sub channel being targeted? Now, I know I have a loyal audience and whatever else, but am I really that impactful? Do you really need to eat me? And do
I
you
don't.
think
I don't have an answer.
keep at this? Do you think I'm not going to? I've already built a small community. You think I'm not going to just rebuild? Because I will. I
And
promise you.
I think I think that we can't know. We don't know what parameters are put into the algorithm. We don't know how it chooses things to search. We are pretty sure by now that certain channels' activity and language sequences flag a channel to a list. We're pretty sure of that with what we've been able to data mine or whatever it's called now. But as far as what decides if a channel gets a strike or not, who knows? Because who knows? They don't tell you. And like, we can talk about the same subject. We can talk about the same articles, the same stories in the news, and the same politics. And 2 out of 20 creators that have the same video will get struck. The other 18 are fine. We don't know why it happens. I don't think they know either.
Yeah, I honestly think that for me personally, especially because of the timing, it's really weird. The timing in the morning that I've gotten a lot of these strikes, and it seems like someone is watching them. They heard something and they flagged it. Now, what did I talk about yesterday? Well, I talked a little bit about the coup, but it wasn't so much that as I was talking about counting the cost. Why are we doing the things that we're doing? And what are the hidden costs behind them? So there's always a hidden cost. It's like I talked about the climate change issue, and they're talking about renewable energy, and renewable energy is cheaper than what we've been doing now, and it's not. It's only cheaper for the companies because it's subsidized, meaning there's a hidden cost there on the taxpayer. So, but I did bring up the COOF, and I brought up that tweet that I put out yesterday of, basically people under 40. So people younger than Yizz and I, there have only been 14,500 deaths of the COOF. That's it.
And isn't like 90% of those because of multiple comorbidities?
I'm pretty sure. And again, I say this stuff all the time. All kinds of other YouTubers say this stuff all the time, but somehow, for some reason, I get struck.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. All I was pointing out is that there's 166 million people, the majority of the population in that age group, and they are the least effective. There is a 0.8%. Again, you can go on my Twitter. It's on there, whatever, that I posted it. Why are we doing these things? Why are we demanding vaccines? Why is Joe Biden?
I know why, but I'm not allowed to talk about it since you're streaming on YouTube, but I know exactly why.
Why is Joe Biden being a creeper and going, get the vaccine, and then walking off stage?
I mean, do you want me to talk about it in delicate language? Because
you can talk in code. Sure, yes.
Then
let me stop the YouTube stream. We'll just continue elsewhere now.
Then there's a phrase that rhymes with the phrase slate preset. And this phrase means there are a bunch of really powerful, very wealthy people. Now, of course, this is all lies and just entertainment. You can check with CNN and MSNBC; they'll tell you the truth about this. But these folks, if you are to believe things that are clearly not true, according to CNN, there is a cluster of rich, we will call them trolligarchs, and they want to obtain all of the land, destroy all of the competitive businesses, and wipe out that pesky thing called the middle class. They want everyone to be a slave or a serf on a single global plantation that they control. And I think that is what everything we've seen in the last decade or two has been aiming towards. You have people across the world, both English speaking and non-English speaking, talking about the well, I don't want to say this to get you in trouble either, the shoe world border. And they've been talking about this for 45 years. And they've been working.
That's all the words you're saying, not to say I've said yesterday repeatedly.
Okay, well, the TOS is eternal, Bill.
I don't know. Here's the thing: is the first So I played maybe that was it. Maybe that was at the beginning of the stream. I played a Alex Jones clip, but I do it all the time on this channel as a joke, right? It's satire.
Mhm.
But I played an Alex Jones clip, and then shortly after that, I played the Australian health minister talking about the New World Order, as she put it,
Mhm.
and the people on Twitter going, "Oh no, this is just whenever something new's coming in," except for their I think their prime minister has also said it, or someone else in the health ministry has said it before. And it's obviously clear there are a lot of people that, again, talk about this,
Mhm.
use the words great reset.
Especially rich people and politicians.
Yeah, they're allowed to say it, right? And it always comes down
Well, to be
to,
fair, it's their word.
yeah, it is their word. It always comes down to, yes, I like this. Shelley says the lizard people.
Yes.
It comes down to your politics, though. It's so, if I did a Hunter Avalon and pretended like I was a lefty all of a sudden, and Hunter's nothing, I'm pretty sure. I used to watch him regularly when he was on the right, just because his content was funny. But I would definitely I would not say it was mature in any way. And it's quite shallow, the stuff that he espouses. But if I was somebody like him, I would just switch it a dime and be a lefty. And I can't do that, though. I can't be dishonest to myself. It'll drive me nuts. I will feel like a POS.
The thing about the left-right divide, I think that's also part of the smoke and mirrors show that the NWO wants. They want us to think that within our own people and communities, there are 2 or 3 main camps, and that these are all of the ideas that we are allowed to have and espouse. That's the nature of the Overton window. It's the nature of partisan politics, because the people with let's call it with the shoe gold that control all of this stuff and that own the media, they want us to think that voting and protesting and organizing around these political parties is how we will make our will manifest and provide a future for our children. They don't want us to know that this is just a smoke and mirror show to keep us distracted while our land is purchased and taken from out from under us. Our businesses and schools are destroyed and taken from us. And then we are just serfs on their kingdom forever. I think that politics and the war machine and all of this has always been towards this one NWO goal, and at least for the last, I don't know, 60, 80 years. And
I think it goes back to the early progressive era. I
mean the modern expression of it, now that they know that they have the U.S.-Israel war machine, NATO, the UN, they've got China became NatSoc about 30 years ago.
Since the end of World War II, for sure.
Yeah.
That was Eisenhower's warning of the military-industrial complex was part of that.
And then by the time that the Long March through the institutions completed in the late 50s and mid-60s, that's when we started seeing the migration parameters change. The Migration Act, mass feminism, all the isms. You got affirmative action. You've got all these other things that are always on one goal: the destruction of sovereignty and freedom in Western countries. They see us as the last hurdle to global domination. And I think that's why you have all this anti-white sentiment, because it used to just be anti-Christian and anti-male sentiment when we were 99% white. But now that ain't the case anymore, in comes that racial Marxism that they've been planning for 100 years. And bam, here comes that wrecking ball too. Like, that's all of this has been towards this one evil global goal by these. And it's not just the small hats. It's people like, I don't know, like your Bill Gateses and your all these assholes. Like, they're all on the same team.
The idea, the small hat idea, I don't think it's them alone either. But that is the banking.
It's not them alone. It's just, a hit dog will holler, and
that is
you
a financial.
Pull it into a group of oligarchs. 9 times out of 10, you blow the little hat off. Like, it's just how it is.
Right. But there's a huge financial backing in that because of the banking industry that was started, centuries ago.
And I mean, ideological Talmudism is kind of at the core of this globalism too. Like,
right.
You can't ignore that part.
Well, this is why. So look, guys, I'll put it this way. It's a speculation at best. I cannot know for sure, but it seems pretty true. If you look at the Anglo-American Alliance, the Anglo-American Alliance and the city of London and the financial centers and how London runs, the whole idea, the Cecil B. Rhodes idea, is that America, as well as any other Western nation that was originally English, is still under the crown, and we are very much tied to them still. This, of course, was not the way it was for a long time, but it has changed in the last century.
Yeah.
And with that, the city of London, which is a financial district, which has a lot of Jewish people within it because they've been banking there for a long period of time, they help control and finance the money. And then this is also why we do all these things for Israel, because, well, they have ethnic connections. So it's not anything hard to figure out, but I don't think it's like, I don't think that it's just Jews alone, right? I mean,
no,
that's what I always...
And also, you know that I've even said this on your channel. Avoid naming the J. Avoid naming the J, because that's ugly and deconstructive. No movement and nothing good will come of organized hatred against people that because of a thing they can't control that they were born with, whether it be a race or a religion or a sexuality. If you blame the F's or the J's or the B's or whatever, you're only exuding hatred and radicalization. That's not a way to get regular folks to care about what you have to say or to organize with you. So leave that out. It's just when we're having big brain talk about the building blocks of what led us to here, there are certain elements where you have to name kind of.
Well, and I generally point, because I think it's a more influential thing, because it actually is, because they actually write policy, is the UN. The UN, the World Health Organization, all that. You guys just, unless you start going through the books, you have no idea how influential the UN is on all policies in the United States, including like your local municipality, your little town of a couple thousand, maybe 10,000 people. There are UN policies, I guarantee it, implemented there, or at least on the county level. It's ridiculous. But that all has its ties, and then they have ties. The UN has a lot of ties to Catholicism, the Catholic Church. I'm not against Catholics, folks, but I really think the papacy is an evil. So you can hate me for that. You can unsubscribe or whatever. I don't care. I'm going to say what I have to say. But the Jesuits are part of that. There's a big influence in Washington, D.C. because of Georgetown. Georgetown's run by the Jesuits. The CIA have a lot of ties with them. There are so many things. There's so many things that I would say are biblical that people just, if you believe in the biblical prophecies, people just gloss over it. They don't even believe in it.
Yep.
And in fact, most Protestants today believe in the Jesuits' account of the Book of Revelations. That was written in the Counter-Reformation, back in the day, to basically deny what the Protestants were saying, which is that the papacy is the false prophet, the Antichrist. And
I did not know that particular piece of history there. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, all of them. Even Sir Isaac Newton, the founder of physics, believed that the papacy was the Antichrist. So, yes. And so the Jesuits created a counter narrative. They came out with two different interpretations of Revelations, and those are the primary interpretations that the modern Protestant church uses. And that was exactly what they were doing. That was the point. They wanted to infiltrate the Protestant mind and get it away from the papacy. And if you talk to most Protestants today, unless they're of that thought, they'll go, "Oh, I don't think the papacy is the Antichrist, blah, blah, blah." And they'll say a bunch of other stuff. So it's just really, I don't know, all the threads you have to unravel go really, really deep. And I'm not saying I have a full understanding of all of it. I have a basic knowledge of surface level stuff. There are a lot of people that have gone way deeper than I. A lot of things I've read, it's been years since I've looked at them or studied them. But I'll tell you another really great book. If you want to get into some like off in the weeds, there's a book called Treason by a guy named Garudis. It's a pen name, obviously.
Okay.
It's like Gruduas, I think, or something like that. Garudis. I don't know. I'm dyslexic, so me spelling out in the ether this probably isn't right, but it's called Treason. And it's just like document after document after document of these people in like the progressive era onward, and things that were done behind the scenes or things done in Congress, conversations had about how they want to take the country. And it's all about this one world government, the New World Order. And of course,
are you sure I didn't write that?
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's my pen name.
Let's see if I can find it. Treason. It's a blue book. It's pretty basic, but it's like reading stereo instructions though, guys, because you're going to read a lot of documents. Treason by Garudas.
Bill, do you want to come down for my October meetup, my Patriot meetup that I'm having? We're having a camping trip.
Maybe. When?
October 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's the second weekend in October to come watch the leaves change. I'm not going to name exactly where we'll be, but I'll tell you behind closed doors. But it's only about maybe a 3.5, 4 hour drive south for you.
Yeah, but say you're not far from me. I know. Yeah.
Because how long does it take you I can be in DC in like 3.5 hours.
It takes me about a little over an hour to get to DC. Depends on the traffic, but yeah.
So then you can just cut all that mess out and probably get down here to me in like 3 or 4 hours.
Right. So you probably wouldn't know where Boston is, and not Boston, Massachusetts, but Boston.
Boston, yeah.
Boston and Alexandria. It's a neighborhood in Alexandria, but it's right off like 66. If anyone has any idea of geography. Anyways, my wife lived there when we first started dating. I used to get to her place in about an hour and 20 minutes. It's literally, if there's no traffic, she was literally 10 minutes from downtown DC. So if that gives you any idea.
Yeah, and if you want to come down, that's fine. It's I've already paid for everything. We've got our reservations, and I'm going to be supplying food and that kind of thing. So if you want to come down, bring your wife and kid if you want to. It's fine, and it'll be Don the Pleb and a couple of the other people from the Pleb group, and a couple of friends of mine. Violence is Life in the chat is invited. I haven't got an RSVP back from her yet or not, but it's just people that we know, just people that are related and kind of want the things that we all want.
Right. Well, no, I mean, it'd be great to meet everyone in person as well. I mean, yeah. I'm looking at my calendar only because my wife has a trip to Florida. Well, we have a stop off in Georgia too, but for her work, and I was supposed to go down there, and I know we're leaving Tuesday, and it will be that week. I don't know when we'll be back, so I'll let you know, Yizz. Maybe on our way back, we can stop by.
Cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just let you know that you're invited and welcome, and it doesn't cost anything.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, appreciate it. We will have the baby and everything, so maybe that'll work out, because me being without
I'll tickle your new daughter's little nose and say...
Well, she definitely seems to like people so far. So here's that book I was talking about, guys. Treason, the New World Order by Garudas.
Nice.
I was almost there. I was almost there on the spelling. Anyways, it's look, you can get it on Kindle Unlimited for free. It's
interesting. It's interesting they chose the phrase there, corporate police state, because that's basically what the military industrial complex has been trying to achieve in totality for the last like 80 years.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a really good book. It is something you have to read like in sections unless you're like really good at reading doll stuff.
I'm bad at reading everything.
You're bad at reading everything?
Yeah.
Well,
I have really bad ADHD. I don't take the proper medicine for. So reading blocks of text is almost impossible for me more than just a little bit of time. That's why for books, I have to listen to it in audiobook form.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't know. I would see, for me, I would zone out if it was just audio.
I zone out if I have to read text, because about 3 sentences in, my brain goes, hell with this, I'm bored. Let's do something else. And I can't focus long enough to get them. Like, I can force myself to read the words, but it doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't retain anything. So
no, I understand. I mean, I get that a bit because I'm dyslexic, so I end up speed reading.
Yeah.
Or I misread. But one of the things that helps me out a lot is I just basically make a lot of notes. I consciously think and slow myself down and make a lot of notations and write what I'm reading while I'm reading it. It helps me retain it better as well. But let me read this real quick. It says a comprehensive analysis of the Patriot movement. For some reason, honey keeps coming up. Anyways, warnings from, let me start that over. Comprehensive analysis of Patriot movement and New World Order, a reference work with 833 footnotes. That's that dyslexia thing, right?
Yeah, there it
Warnings
was.
from many authorities about a corporate police state. Hundreds of influential people call for a one world government, end of U.S. sovereignty, end of U.S. Constitution, transfer of the United States military to the UN and global police forces. The UN is to become the center of world government. The destruction of nationalism, patriotism, property rights, and the family unit is promoted. All nations must ultimately join a world government, and those who resist will be attacked. The media never discusses this. Topics reviewed: corporate dominance, the secret government, state sovereignty versus federal control, out of control intelligence communities, Oklahoma bombing and the cover-up, left and right working together, hidden U.S. history, role of U.S. militia, in U.S. history, passed martial law in U.S., murder as a political weapon, GATT, the NAFTA, radiation biological experiments on people, and a corporate plot for a dictatorship in the 1930s, which Congress confirmed. That is the Smedley Butler story that he brought out. And I'm pretty sure that even though he brought it out and exposed it, it actually happened. So
this is basically an entire novel of but the government wouldn't do that meme.
Right. Let's see what the back of it.
Well, I shouldn't say novel. It's a book. I know that novel means fiction, but
never mind. Really good book for anyone curious. But hey, it's like 4:30, and I started at odd time because I kind of didn't want to stream too long today. So I appreciate you being here, Yizz. Let's look over some chat real quick. I don't think I got any donations, so you all suck.
You got some donations from Violence is Life on D Live, but you
mentioned
that already.
Yeah, she gave me a couple diamonds over there. Well, 1 ice cream and 4 diamonds or lemons. I mean, diamonds, lemons, whatever.
That's the correct number of lemons.
That reminds me, I do need to shill Anti-Commie subscribe to the Entropy yesterday at diamond level. I guess there are different levels, so I should shill that. Guys, if you go on Entropy, I guess you can subscribe at a tier level. That one particularly was $20 a month. So that's just steady income for me. Doing this helps me out. I'm not employed. I'm doing my own stuff.
I see you, Anti-Commie, subscribing to all my friends but me. I see you. I'll take it personally.
So papacy is an anathema, says Nielsen. Yeah. Well, if you're Orthodox, you would definitely believe that. In any case, you guys can go over there and subscribe. I guess if I have a subscribe star, I have a PayPal. Anyway, you don't have to donate. I'm going to do this regardless. But anyway, if you want to help me and my family out, it's greatly appreciated. And right now I'm at the point, it's taking a while, where you are providing some income for me and the family, which is nice because I just had a daughter and that is an added expense. So much appreciated. With that, you want to shill anything?
This coming Monday, other than the fall meetup, if any of you are out there and on the 8th, 9th, and 10th, you know me well enough for me to trust you, and you want to come hang out with me and a few of this cluster of content creators. It's going to be some of us. It's going to be a couple people that are part of the family. I think there's going to be somebody bringing a kid, maybe. It's going to be a weekend. We're going to get together Friday afternoon, leave Sunday before noon. And on Saturday, we're going to go to the range down the hill at the park and shoot guns together. I'm going to have a big grill out Saturday evening. I'm going to cook a bunch of hot dogs. I'm going to be bringing beans and potato salad and a bunch of shit. And it's just a fun meetup in a beautiful park where you can really enjoy the changing of the leaves and all that for the Appalachian area here. Reach out to me privately to get the details about that if you want in. And again, it doesn't cost you anything, but you have to provide your own transportation and sleeping bag and blankets and shit. But I got you covered on the fee of the place and the food while you're there. But and of course, it's bring your own gun affair, obviously. But there will be people there that'll let you shoot probably if you want to. But anyway, the next thing coming up for me is this coming Monday night's Discordant Dragons. It's going to have Oliver, known as Semiagog, and Don the Pleb on the same stream. So it'll be a really fun Monday night. And I think Wes Wyleven said he can come, but he's had a rough week with therapy. I don't know if Wes will be there. And I haven't heard back from Spoon about it either. So Spoon might be on. So if that interests you Monday night, Bill, I can put you on the list.
Sure. Yeah. I haven't been on in a couple weeks, so
it's been a while. Yeah. So I'm gonna count heads and see who's going to be available for the stream Monday night, and by Sunday I'm going to hopefully have my roster built, and we'll keep you on the short list for that.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything going on Monday night. I mean, okay. I can't stream on All-1. I'm not going to do it here. What I think I will end up doing is doing some behind the scenes stuff, and maybe just, if I am going to be on a 2-week strike, I'm just going to work on my book really hardcore. But I'd love to be on, as always.
All righty. And that's all I have to shield for today. If you want to wrap things up, I'm good.
Yeah, more or less. I would go through all the chat, but I like to do that sometimes. But, you guys talk amongst yourselves or whatever. But I didn't want to stream long today. I basically just want to let you guys know what was going on. If you guys are subscribed over on All-1, and you're not to the Ends Justify the Memes, subscribe to the Ends Justify the Memes, please. but since I'm doing it on YouTube, I would assume most of you guys are here. And this show's the fun show. We stream every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we do a meme cast news. That is the real fake news. We missed this week because I was underslept and was not feeling well. My memes literally vaporized when I was transferring them from my phone to my computer. They literally disappeared in the ether, and I was like,
Oh no.
And so that's like a week's worth of me collecting stuff, and then it could sort and filter it. So then I had to recollect, and it got around about 4 o'clock, and I was like, I'm about to bang my head against the wall right now. I'm too damn tired to do this. So I canceled the show, which I don't like doing, but whatever.
And remember, if you want to invite me, Wednesday evenings right now with my rotation are usually pretty empty for me. So if you want me on there, just let me know.
Sure. In fact, we probably can do that next Wednesday, because I'm even with the baby. It's just been more hectic, right? And like, she's pretty easy, but still, my wife's got to work. I got to help take care of her. So,
since I'm getting up at the crack of dawn and your show is really late, I might just be sitting in my bed again. I might not be in here in the study. So,
well, you don't have to be on camera, Yizz. We don't care.
Yeah, but I like to be when you guys are. It's more fun.
Yeah. Well, Tank wants to get Aiden back on, but I'm like, Aiden has a hard time being up that late, buddy.
Yeah, because that's like 3 a.m. for her, right?
Yeah, it's late. So, we had her on once, and that was when we were trying out Sunday streams. That worked, but we'll see. But in any case, guys, thanks for joining. And hey, this has been the Ends Justify the Memes. And remember, the ends always justify those memes. Where's my outro at? Here it is.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. Macho madness, yeah, it's got more to offer than President Jack Tunney thinks that I got, yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. Cards stacked against the Macho Man Randy Savage in WrestleMania 3. Yeah, let me say it, yeah. Let me say it out loud. And let me point to the president of the World Wrestling Federation, the